people wear socks at home?
I was just in that mood. I just didn't care.
Is it weird? Abso-fucking-lutely.
And again, this went nowhere. And
Square
asking,
peg doesn't fit in the round hole.
again, I was just in a mood apparently.
Can you just pick a lane?
We're so far into this book at this point.
Mood, ladies and gentlemen. So I've been waiting all week to hear what happens next in your drama. But we need to be mindful, very demure.
So it is confirmed he died and came back, but he's come back more than once, which means he's had like multiple second lives already.
What?
Yeah. So
I thought it had to do with her.
Trust me. So apparently he died before when he got hit by a car saving a cat at college, which actually ended up being a cat.
So this is his second car hit?
The second one, he got into a car accident. He was in a car. The first time, a car was about to hit a cat and he jumped in front of the car to save the cat. By the way, this cat is a cat that's been on this college campus that the main lady had been taking care of during college. So how they know each other and how they know each other from college, she has no memory of knowing him. The reason being, when they met, she was trashed because her dad had just died. And so she was sad about it. So she was drinking heavily and she runs into him and he ends up taking care of her. It's so fucking cute. But he ends up taking care of her.
Sounds really convoluted now.
You think it's convoluted now? She was very sad. And she's like stumbling about and she doesn't have her glasses on or anything. Like she can't see. So everything's blurry as top of being drunk. And so he ends up taking care of her and talks with her. They sit at the river. They have like a lot of conversations and she like really starts getting super emotional because obviously her dad died and drunk, all those things. And she explains that like she doesn't even know what to do now because she feels lost. And she goes, that feeling of when you're on a boat and like everything's just this. She goes, I want solid ground. And that's important later on. Then they end up falling asleep. But when he wakes up, she's not there anymore. Then he sees her on campus, but overhears her talking to like her best friend, like that. Oh, I woke up next to this like creepy older dude and this. Oh yeah. Yeah. And all this other stuff. So he gets a little like sad about it. Then he kind of like stalks her, I guess, throughout this whole thing. But then he sees her taking care of this cat. So then he starts also taking care of this cat. And he would like leave food for this cat. And it was a baby kitten, right? And then like wintertime was coming and it was getting cold. And he built a house for this cat for the outdoors. And they start like leaving things. It's so fucking cute. But anyways, so we learned that part. And like he also had opened up to her about like the fact that he also had lost his father too. But technically he hasn't lost his father yet. It's because like it's a whole thing. Anyways, he admits that he likes her. He tells her straight up, I like you. I want to be with you, but I will wait for you until you're no longer with the boyfriend. But she also doesn't like believe that he likes her. It's crazy. They're up on a rooftop at work and they're just like talking back and forth. And this is when they discuss their favorite songs because she's listening to music and she drops her like the iPods. She was listening to it on an iPod. So they discuss because she likes BTS and they discuss it. And then they were discussing their favorite songs.
Back to school.
They mention their favorite songs and Skedios. The problem is Dynamite was released in 2020 and Spring Day was released in 2017 and this is 2013. So neither of those songs is like out yet. So they accidentally reveal themselves as like time traveling, which is crazy. But now this makes their potential relationship a wee bit more complicated because, shitballs. So they both realize that they have like now a second chance at their lives and like, what the fuck? So this is where her name is Jiwon and his is Jihyuk. So she discloses her plan to him about how she's going to change her destiny. And she reveals that, like, dude, I've tried so many times, but I can't escape. I need to, like, put it onto somebody else. So that's crazy. We also learned that before this dude had died in 2023, so like the day after her thing, she had met her father in the form of the taxi driver. So the taxi driver that drove her home from the hospital was like her father, but like ghost father. And he had handed her this dollar bill, like this bill with like a little
Right.
heart on it because her dad used to draw hearts on money, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Turns out the same fucking cab driver that he met was also her dad. And guess what? He has a heart tattoo right on his chest. That is literally basically like pinning them as this is your next life type of deal. It's crazy, right?
So is it the cab driver sending them back?
Yes. Yeah, giving them a second chance at life. It's crazy. Then he gets so drunk and ends up going to the do you remember when she went to like the reunion and the old boyfriend had gone there, blah blah blah. He ends up getting
Yep.
drunk and like he keeps going back to this restaurant with this guy cuz he's thinking that like maybe she'll be happy with him. I don't fucking know. But then they're going to organize a outdoor workshop for the company. Crazy Town Banana Pants. And this is then like the main character remembers, oh my God, the winner of this treasure hunt gets their own like it's like glamping, basically. So if you win, you get the big thing. And she goes, I remember I
You
lost
get the big thing.
and my friend had won the first time. And when I had fallen asleep in this tent, my boyfriend had actually, because they're single tents when you lose, my boyfriend had actually come to me and we like slept together because it was fucking cold and da da da. She goes, oh, if I win and my friend has to stay in the stupid tiny tent, my boyfriend will probably go find her
Oh.
to get comfort because, you know, everything has to happen. And she's like, oh, gotta do that. So that ends up happening. It's crazy. She is going into the stream, but the stream is really fucking dangerous, by the way. And then she gets really sick, which is crazy. And this fucking bitch, right? The best friend is such a bitch. But anyway, before that, sorry. The dude goes and finds her at the stream and he goes, this is fucking insane. What are you doing? And he's like, I want to be solid ground for you. And I'm like, she doesn't catch that, by the way, because she still does not know that they had met in college. But anyways, so then her fucking douchebag best friend, like, wants to also win because she doesn't want to sleep in a goddamn tent on the ground. So she ends up finding her. And so the whole point is everyone has like a name tag on their back that you have to rip off if you steal like a person's flag. The point of is there's a bunch of flags. Each flag is assigned a tent and you want the number one flag to get it's basically like a camper that you get to sleep in versus a tent on the ground. And her best friend like finds her and they end up like fucking fighting in the woods, like trying to get this. And like she's not holding back either. Jiwon ends up leaving. She still has her flag. Like she puts this girl flat on her ass and leaves. But then she feels bad because she is a nice person and she ends up turning around and goes back and the girl's not there anymore. And so she sits down and then the best friend comes up behind her, fucking rips her hair and then rips the name tag right off her back. And she goes, I knew you would come back. But then she ends up getting it back. And then the best friend ends up fucking the boyfriend in the woods. It gets more and more convoluted. But I mean, I would rather talk about that than whatever we read. Sorry.
Okay, listen.
So, okay. This week we read The Roommate Rules by Fiona Maren. Long story short, this is what the book is about. Two people who truly don't have any chemistry together and don't really show that they're interested in each other end up being roommates. She's a teacher, he's a pro basketball player, and magically everyone around them thinks they're dating because they just seem like they are. And then they realize they have attraction to each other and end up having sex, but we don't get to see it, and they end up together. And then there's random drama in there where their dad boom done. I do actually have other notes, but that's the book.
I didn't see it exactly that way.
I felt like they had zero fucking chemistry and like not even that, like they didn't even realize it. And then people kept pointing it out. And I was like, where are you seeing this? Am I the problem? Can I not see this? Because I don't see it at all. I don't get this.
People could see it because they did have physical chemistry.
I didn't
It
think they did.
it was just not put on page very well.
Why?
It wasn't that it wasn't there. It just could have been there better.
Just like their sex? What
I
sex?
think it was on the same level as that, where I really didn't want to get into the rant at the beginning of the episode,
I'm
but
so sorry.
can you just pick a lane? Can you pick if it's going to be closed door or open door? That's all I'm asking for. Just pick a lane, and that's all I want. Honestly, I would respect you more if you just chose closed door if that's what you want and advertised it as that.
Well, if it's going to be closed door, can you just make sure that it's consistent if did they have sex or did they not have sex?
Right. And we would know if we wanted to read it and whatnot. But I felt like that was similar to their vibe on paper, where it was like talked about here, talked about there, but it wasn't described. It was on the same level.
Yeah. Maybe it was just me and I was just in that mood. I just didn't care.
Because I didn't think it was necessarily bad in general. There were just certain things that weren't my vibe. I
That's
think
great.
you were definitely probably in a mood about it.
I
Which
don't
it happens.
know.
It happens when you're not feeling it.
Yeah. So, anyways, this book is also written in third person POV.
Which is fine. It's not our favorite, but it's fine.
Our FMC is, it's not Carolina. I'm assuming it's Carolina,
But yeah, it's
but she goes by Caro.
ca-
Caro.
it's hold on. Because every time I said it in my head, the book corrected me. And that was my biggest gripe with this book is if you're going to name the character something weird, like have it be up front.
I think
Don't
it's
be
Caro. I
correcting
think
it.
it's Caro because someone
It's
keeps calling her Caro and she's like, that's not correct. It's Caro.
yes, it's Carolina. Carolina.
But she
Right.
goes by Caro
Because I
the
wanted
entire
to
book.
name her
That's
Carolina,
yeah. Yeah.
but it was Carolina. Carolina.
I apologize in advance if my description of this book sounds very ranty. I was just apparently in a mood and I am
No,
still in a
there were
mood.
certain things that really stuck with me, and if it wasn't for those things, I would have enjoyed it a lot more because the book itself wasn't a problem for me. It
I
was
just
just
wanted more, I think, is the problem.
yeah.
So, anyways, our FMC is Carolina Silva, but she goes by Caro. She's almost 30 years old, which honestly, I felt that she was younger, but that's me.
Oh, I forgot that she was settled.
Yep. She keeps getting mistaken at work as a child at the school, and which before the book kept going, all I could think about was Ariel the entire time I read this book. With so
That
many
is why
different
I do
parts.
not work in high school.
For most, I just remember the story you told me about someone you saw at the grocery store, and they're like, "Why aren't you in school?" So, also, I think the other gripe I had with this book is it's very clear there was a book before this with certain things.
So there was, but I didn't feel it was that bad, honestly, with this one. Not compared to most of the other ones we've read more recently that you didn't feel that
That's
vibe.
true. That's true. I don't know. I don't know. Again, I was just in a mood apparently. Caro is teaching cheerleading and dance to her students at the school because there is no other coach right now. Again, later on, when she gets more and more jobs pushed onto her, all I could think of was Ariel every single time. Her phone is currently blowing up at school. We learn that Caro is in a group chat with the Mays family. She is not sure why they kept her in it, but she was
So
happy to be in it.
I will say
This
I got frustrated that it
with
took
that,
way too many chapters to figure out how she got into the group chat.
yes,
So she did a fundraising, like sports camp with the rest of the siblings. She met them at the camp and they were there as a fundraising thing. And she met them and they were like, dude, our brother is going to that city. You live there? You work there? Holy Christmas. We know somebody who is going there. They were just grappling onto the only person that, and they spent the
gotcha.
whole summer with her. Is it weird? Absolutely.
Yeah, so she's not sure why they kept her in it, but she's happy to be in it. It's a tight knit family. By the way, not her family. That's all I had to say at the beginning.
No, they added her to it so that she could help them keep an eye on their brother.
Yes. Yeah. Her roommate, Olivia, is also texting her. Not going to lie, all of the texting was actually really cute and it's really cool to read. And I enjoyed the way that it was laid out in the book. And I like when a texting conversation is laid out like that. Olivia's her best friend and also roommate, and Olivia's in the process of moving out of their apartment so she can move in with her boyfriend. Jojo is our MMC, and he is a pro basketball player. He's also super introverted and does not interact much with his team. His teammates are inviting him out to a club, but he's declining, which honestly, I would also decline because no, thank
Same.
you. Talking to other people, not exactly his strong suit. He had been traded to the Elephants, which is a team that's across the country from his family. So his family lives up in New England, in the Boston area. The family who added Caro to the group chat basically forced him to be friends with her. But it worked because now he's best friends with Caro. So that's great. After practice, he decided to drive over to her apartment, and he actually spends a lot of time over at her apartment versus his own. And it got to the point where Caro basically just gave him a key. So she didn't have to keep letting him in and out. When he gets there, he can hear Olivia and Caro talking back and forth about an engagement ring and how Caro envisions her as an emerald ring girly. He does announce himself, which visibly lets Olivia calm down a little, thinking, oh shit, thank God it's not my boyfriend coming in with this conversation. Caro is, he says is she's one of the strangest friends that he's ever had, but in like the best way. And he's also pretty sure that his family added Caro to the family group chat to keep an eye on him because they pretty much still saw him as a little boy who only spoke when prompted, but he didn't mind Caro being included in the group chat. It just felt right for some reason. Caro was telling him that she's trying to convince Olivia to leave Manny, who is Olivia's boyfriend, and live with her forever, but she's honestly just joking because Manny is basically perfect for Olivia. Caro also says she needs to try to find a roommate now who's not creepy because now that Olivia's moving out and she is on a teacher's salary, she kind of needs an additional person to help pay for rent. So Jojo decides to text the family group chat and says that, hey, yo, Caro needs a roommate who's not creepy and clean, non smoker, and asks for any idea. And the entire family group chat starts blowing up with ideas.
Well, because you have to remember, like, he doesn't actually have like
Friends?
regular friends and stuff, right? It's just Caro. So when he turns to people, even though his family's all the way in Boston, he's like, "Oh, anybody know anybody?" Even though the only person they knew in the area was Caro, he's still that's the only people that he can ask for help.
Yeah.
He's
None
trying.
He's trying, but none of this helps. And Jojo apologizes to Caro, saying he doesn't know why he thought it would help. And he realizes there are a couple people he could probably text to see about finding her a roommate. It's like people he works with. They talk a little bit about how Olivia's boyfriend had used dating apps apparently to find an English teacher the year before instead of using it for actual dating purposes. And Carol thinks maybe she should try it that way to find a roommate. And of course, Olivia and JoJo both say that's a bad idea. Also, yes, fucking bad idea. But then, yes,
It's a bad idea, right?
then the family group chat starts going off again. And then they suggest that maybe JoJo should be her roommate instead because I mean, he's barely around during basketball season, so he's not going to be in her way. He's never late on rent, and he also hates his apartment. And you know what? He actually says, "Yeah, sure, I'll move in." Of course, Caro's like, "That was not like a real suggestion. Like your brothers are always talking out of their ass." And he's like, "It's not a pity offer. Like I genuinely think that he would be better off, basically, with a roommate than living at his own house because he wants to have plants and like do all these things and like he can't do that when he's not there. But she doesn't
He
have to
needs
say
somebody to water his plants while he's out of town so much.
yeah, yeah, and she doesn't have to say yes now, but just know it is an option. Caro and Olivia pull up to Manny's house and they start moving Olivia in when they discuss if Caro had made any progress in finding a roommate. And Olivia says, have you given any more thought to Jojo's offer? It's just like a simple solution. And no, Carol hasn't found a roommate yet. And I mean, JoJo's fucking offering. Carol says that there's no reason to not want him to move in. The problem isn't because he's an attractive man, because, yeah, obviously he's gorgeous and he's objectively good to look at. And yeah, sure, he's made like a guest appearance in her dirty dreams, but she doesn't know why he would even want to live with her. He could afford to live anywhere else, but he wants to come live in her dingy apartment. But she ends up agreeing to letting him move in, so he
Gee,
does.
all those things. Let's put all those together.
It was
He's
like
made appearances in her dirty
it
dreams.
was
He's
literally the
no, I meant
briefest
for her.
period of
I know.
oh, yeah.
No, I know. But you
Oh,
have to remember
okay.
this book was under 200 pages.
I will repeat what you've said before. You
Oh,
can
I
still make a story work.
oh, I know.
Anyways,
But
but I mean,
when you try to do so many storylines in that much time, there's only so
yeah.
much text. So I'm saying sometimes you have to pick a lane.
Well, there was not a lane to be picked. This man does not have a lot of stuff, by the way, to move in, which honestly makes a lot of sense, especially because he travels so much for work. So he sets up his gigantic fucking bed, which is like literally the only thing that can fit into this room. And he starts unpacking his stuff. They have, a little bit of back and forth. And apparently, we learned one of JoJo's brothers used to test his pranks on him, and most of it involved a lot of glitter. And Caro just casually says, okay, I got it. No glitter. I'll add it to our roommate agreement. And this is when it comes out that her and Olivia had a roommate agreement. And this roommate agreement was very custom and personalized to the two of them. So obviously, her and JoJo can't have the exact same one, but he wants to see what their roommate agreement was so that he wants to know what was on it. And she says, I
And
need
get
you to understand.
ideas and
Yeah. She's like, I need you to understand. When we made this, we were just two girls living in an empty apartment and had a bottle of tequila. That says everything, realistically. The list is basically just Olivia agrees that every time she makes pesto, she saves an extra container, which, Caro really likes pesto. There are no swear jars allowed. There's a whole section on what steps to take depending on how much ice cream is left in the container, and a rule about how you can only give a man a copy of the key if you're sure you're going to marry him someday. And she admits, we were really drunk when we wrote this, and we weren't thinking through every possible scenario. And that rule went away because they had given a copy of the key to Olivia's dad early on. She does not admit out loud that she had never made a key for anybody until JoJo started hanging around, and that it was basically just practical at that point because he was always consistently coming over. JoJo states that they could just make their own roommate contract, so they do. The first one, JoJo vows to make Caro pesto because, again, she really likes pesto. Caro agrees to protect all houseplants when JoJo travels for away games. So this, yeah, again, this man really, really likes plants and he just wants to have them, but he's never home enough to take care of them and they will all die. So they also agree that if they're going to go grocery shopping and the roommate texts them that they want to add something to the grocery list, they'll try to make sure they return home with said requested items. Caro says that she commits to the elephant's phantom for the duration of JoJo's tenure. So basically, if he ends up getting traded or switches teams, she'll also switch until he retires and then she'll go back. They also agree to remain friends in the event of an argument or misunderstanding. They agree to talk it all out. Disputes over chores should be resolved with rock, paper, scissors. Then, JoJo's like, this man cannot talk to people, by the way. Says, has anyone in my family told you I taught them how to use their credit card points for miles? He's basically trying to put out there, if you want to travel to games and stuff, I will do that. And I have points and I'll even upgrade. And she goes, you think that I can even afford a ticket? And he goes, and I'll pay for the ticket. JoJo also does not think that they should split the bills 50-50 because he clearly makes way more money than she does and that it's not fair for them to pay the same dollar amount. And since she won't let him pay for everything up front, they need to split it proportionately by income. There ends up being 25 rules in total, which is just a mixture of actual roommate stuff and then friendship stuff. So
that would have
here we
been
are.
cuter if they kept put it on the page, but they didn't. Like a lot of books do that.
But you know what? We picked that lane. We picked the lane of not knowing. So anyway, so here we are, new roommates. Then we have Manny texting JoJo, telling him he's going to be proposing to Olivia. Manny has not told Caro yet because Olivia would be able to figure it out. And he just wants help setting it up and wants help to take pictures and stuff. JoJo does not tell Caro right away. But he's like, we're going to have a stakeout. And then as they're heading to this stakeout, he tells her Manny is planning to propose. And Caro is ecstatic about this. And they park and JoJo tells her that the plan is they're just going to hide out there until the two of them make it to the garden. And then when they make it there, they're going to hop out because they'll be all distracted and take pictures. These two people, by the way, not fit to be spies at all. Caro's ecstatic. JoJo is giant. But it doesn't end up mattering anyways because Olivia and Manny were just so caught up that they didn't even notice that they were there. Olivia obviously says yes, and Manny proposes. They get a lot of really good pictures, and then Manny's also like, I have another surprise for you. And they're going to go get food. The surprise is all her family is there, and it's cute. At this dinner, Manny's brother talks to Caro and JoJo and asks how long they've been together. And Caro's like, oh, we're not dating. We're just good friends. We're actually roommates now. And JoJo just loves being counted among Caro's friends in general. So that's just one person or a group of people who have questioned if they're actually dating. And to me, I didn't see it, but Ariel clearly did. I just didn't feel it at all.
Mood, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, besides that one comment about Caro having dirty thoughts occasionally about JoJo, that was it. And I think that it just really does come down to like things weren't added in to set.
Well, no,
That's
it
probably
comes
why.
down to telling versus showing. And it's
Yeah.
like rule number one in making somebody feel a book is you need
Mhm.
to show, not tell. And you can't show and tell, that's redundant. So you usually need to pick a
Unless
lane
you're at
and
school and then you can do show and tell. Yeah. So another day, Carol comes home and it's very Caro, not Carol.
I
Carol
was
comes home,
about to say, I was like, you want to try
comes
that
home.
again?
Yep. And it's very hot in the apartment. Apparently the air conditioning went out. And of course, JoJo's just walking around with nothing but basketball shorts. Caro is so hot that she goes to change into a sports bra and shorts. We learn that no one can come out until Monday. It's Friday. So it's gonna be is it not Friday?
I had a slight problem with this
I have a whole problem with this.
because because they were relying on the landlord to get somebody to go landlord approved to come out. And I get that because they're renters and I get that. But Jojo keeps flashing around all his money because
Mhm,
makes all his money. He couldn't
mhm.
have had people come out instantly. He couldn't have had units like temporarily put in. It just it didn't
Instead he
make
makes a
sense to
wild
me.
decision. So we'll get there.
I just
Yeah. Also, apparently no one goes out on Fridays. So okay. Anyways, so we learned that no one can come out till Monday. So it's gonna
I
be
think
hot
it
for
was
the
after
weekend.
work on Friday, so
Doesn't even matter. Come Saturday morning. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sure you can pay extra. But yes, the money thing. I don't know. We paid extra to have someone come to our house on a Sunday to fix our air conditioning. So Jojo asks if Caro can trust him and that he has an idea and she is not going to like it and she's going to fight him on it. This plan, by the way, they're just going to fly to New England. That's the plan for the weekend to go visit his family because that's apparently what rich people can do on the weekends.
to go
Instead
fly
of
to the
fixing
place that is humid all the time,
Well, it was cooler there for them than when they were. It's cooler back home in New England than it is where they
wherever
live
the fuck
currently.
they are.
I have no idea where they are. Do we ever? It's
I
just
don't
across the
know
country,
either.
I'm assuming. But anyways, yeah. So that's his solution. Instead of spending his money to have someone come fix the air conditioning, they're just going to fly to New England instead. So, whatever.
I just like people just assume it just it breathes someone who has never been to New England because I find that those who have never been there
Well,
think that it's
depending on what time of
fall
year it
weather.
is.
I know, but those who have never been there think it's fall weather all the time because they think New England, they think fall. So they think, oh, it must be that nice, crisp, cool weather all the time. Not if it's fucking dying in Texas right now. Yes, the temperature is not the fucking same, but we have a lot of humidity and it's going to feel like you're still dying outside.
Well, if we go based off of no, hold please. So technically, it depends on what time of year. So if it is
I was going to say
because
it's
it's
only eight.
preseason still.
I was going to say it's only 80 degrees here, so it's cool
Well,
today, but
so basketball technically does not start until October, the end of October. So
so where are they that they
technically,
need an air conditioner in October?
I don't know. I got no idea. I don't know. Who knows? Anyways, no, they can't be in Florida because they're across the country. Because I would
And
need it
you
here in
guys don't
October.
need it's not the same though, not to where you can't survive a weekend.
Anyways, doesn't matter. Him going to New England instead of paying for air conditioning for some fucking reason.
Weird, because apparently that's cheaper.
So weird. Sure. Okay. Anyways, so they go visit his family, of course, after him talking her into upgrading their seats. To me, the book, I didn't like the timing in this book. I don't know. I just didn't know what day it was ever. I knew this was the weekend though. I think it just, I don't know. Anyways,
I
so they
didn't
get to
think
his
that the
house.
timing was very important in the book
I don't
because it
think
just
so.
kind of
I think it
flowed
just
all
doesn't,
together.
yeah.
Like
Anyways,
it mattered of it was just consecutive.
nothing matters. The lane doesn't matter. The time doesn't matter.
Well, no, but it wasn't one of those things where it was like it had that many days in it. You know what I mean? It just kind of moved.
Right. Yeah. So they
That's
get
why
to
it
his
didn't.
house. Yeah. And Jojo's mom and her husband Lyle are waiting for them outside the airport. We learned that when they get to the house, they're going to be staying in the same bedroom because apparently his mom had just assumed they were together, not just roommates, but it's fine. Caro goes to see the room that they're going to be staying in and learns that there's actually a bunk bed in there. So they can still room together as long as Jojo is comfortable with that. So that's what they do. Jojo's mom does apologize to Jojo about the mix up. And she says, the reason I have the wrong impression is because you never brought anybody home. No friends, no teammates, no significant others. So this felt significant. So my brain just tacked on the other without my knowledge. And he says, don't even worry about it. It's fine. His mom just tells him that, she's a nice girl and she's very beautiful. And some friendships turn into more. And Jojo just says, that works for some people. I wouldn't do it myself, but everyone is different. So, again, more people saying that they should be dating, but neither one of these people have any second thought about it. Jojo apparently
Well,
basically.
Jojo mentioned in the beginning that he would, but he wouldn't want to ruin his friendship that way. That he does think about her that way. And he actually, there's like 7 different mentions, especially in the beginning of him like getting turned on by her, but he's very aware of it. He just doesn't, his friendship to her is way more important to him than even trying. And he thinks that trying would ruin what he has with her.
Jojo apparently basically grew up in a Hallmark movie, and the whole town in general is very cute. And they're walking through town and they get to Strawberry Street, and Jojo's like, can we just, let's just skip this street? And she goes, no, 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 no. Like, this sounds great. And he goes, I need your phone before they go down it. Apparently, there's a gazebo with his face on the ceiling of the gazebo. That was a project from the elementary school students because they were told to draw a picture of their hero, and it's literally just a giant portrait of him. So, okay. That night, as they're laying on the bunk bed, Caro is just looking at the ceiling and she just realizes it was just so idyllic here, but her mind was continuing to wander. And she asked him if it was weird to be back here. And he says it's not weird. The gazebo part was weird, but the rest of it's really nice. And his family and the weather. And it's just, too bad that all of his siblings were still out of town. But he enjoyed being back with his family. Ooh, family. They fly back home the next morning, and when they get to the apartment, there's a man standing outside the door. It's her dad. Jojo's a little taken aback because Caro all of a sudden turns into just a shell of herself, and he also realizes she's never mentioned her family, and he just always assumed it was just an off-limits topic when she didn't talk about it. By the way, this dad, piece of shit.
Random side story filled in.
I know. Her dad's a piece of shit. And he is implying that she has a ton of money. And he was just overall being super rude. Jojo, livid at how this man is acting and tells him, you need to leave. And her dad's like, she has you fooled, doesn't she? Don't take it too personally. Swindlers and bitches are always charming at first. It's part of their game. What is this side story? Jojo,
Wild is what it
eh,
is.
yeah. Jojo once again says you need to leave, and if you don't leave, the police will come and assist you. So they head inside. The dad stays there, and Jojo dials 911 when they get back in the apartment. And Caro tells him it's fine, don't involve the cops. She tells him, her entire family hates her, and they aren't going to stop until she's bankrupt. Basically, she used to live with her grandmother before she moved in with Olivia because her grandmother couldn't live alone, and she needed a new place to stay. So it was nice, it worked out perfect. So she moved in there while she was finishing up college, and she stayed with her until her grandmother passed away. The grandmother ended up leaving her the house when she died. And after she died, it all came out that the grandmother left her the house and all hell broke loose in the family. And the entire family turned against her and they threatened lawsuits and they went on a campaign against her on Facebook. And they would just like show up to the house at random hours and basically just accuse her of trying to take advantage of her grandmother. So when she eventually moved in with Olivia, she didn't tell anybody where she went to, and she didn't even file restraining orders because then she'd have to give her address.
Which, what happened to the house? Why
That's
did
what
she
I
have to
want
move
to
in with
know.
Olivia?
I don't know.
Why, if this was like, I don't understand.
None of it made sense. She
Then
went
if
to,
she sold the house, she then have been able to pay off all her loans and stuff, and then now she wouldn't be in as much.
what happened to the house? The house is where the sex is in this book. That's where it is. Anyways, but she went to therapy and all that, but she's also curious why.
No, she went to 3 sessions because that's all her insurance allowed.
I know. She's also curious why he's doing this again because she doesn't have the money that they accused her of having, so she has no idea what's going on. Jojo gets a phone call from his manager, Solomon, and saying that he got a courtesy call from a tabloid and they've got a tip that now he quit basketball to become a butler. Basically, Caro's dad found out who he was, said he was a butler, took a picture, and all of this was just lost on me at this point because didn't this literally just happen in a span of 5 fucking minutes? It seemed like it might happen in a span of 5 fucking minutes.
No, Jojo reached out to his people so that he could have them. He even like increased security around the building. Like he did all kinds of stuff.
I don't care.
Yeah, because he went and he sent that picture right to the press, like right from immediately.
Immediately from meeting them when they were downstairs. So now we are at the beginning of the school year. So this is where the timing still is weird to me because we're at the beginning of the school year, but that would mean it would be hot in New England.
I
But
know.
and then if he's in preseason, that's like, I don't know, whatever. I don't care. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
Carol basically, saw Olivia. She barely
That's why I
saw
was
Olivia.
saying it felt like it should have been hot where they were. Yeah.
I don't know, even know. So Carol barely saw Olivia at all. Jojo took the rest of the off season to learn about home security. And while Carol knew, the dad was up to something, her dad had never been like violent. So she wasn't like scared for her life or anything, but the situation was kind of scary. We learn the school is actually not looking for a new cheer coach at all. And the reason being is because they're just going to eliminate the position in general. Their enrollment is down, but they're not going to disband the team right now because she's been doing a great job as an interim coach. So they're just going to make her a dual dance and cheer coach position permanently right now. They're not going to give her a pay raise or anything like that. And this is once again where I need to say this reminded me, but also at the same time, we need to give schools more funding. Don't
Yep.
make your teachers do 16,000 jobs at once and pay them ass. Caro has conversations with other people at work, with some friends, and some of those friends kind of hint that JoJo is in love with her again. For me, it came out of nowhere, but for Ariel understood. I just didn't. The new basketball season is starting, and typically with a new season, they don't use JoJo much in training or preseason games, and the only real challenge that JoJo ever sees is meeting new people because he doesn't like them. And then he's just very antisocial. But yeah, having all the new meetings with everybody, networking, tell us all about yourself and pretty much just in general communicating. There is a new social media team and they really want to feature the basketball team a lot more this season and that their participation in the efforts is very vital and very appreciated. And their new strategy revolves around them and their personality. So they're going to ask a ton of different questions. For example, like, what's your favorite Taylor Swift song? And of course, JoJo takes this very seriously and like is like, I need to like really, really deeply think about this. So when they ask me, I can just have an answer right away. So Caro helps him. They have a cute little like exchange back and forth, but they're going to work together to figure out what his Taylor Swift song is going to be. Of course, this entire orientation has a lot of awkward icebreakers, and he's just very uncomfortable around people. Once he gets home, he asks Caro how her day was, and she says, you know what? It's terrible, but like, let's not talk about it. So they decide they're going to go through I have comments about this later on, but it's fine. They're going to go through the different eras for Taylor Swift to make a list of all the songs he likes and then go back through and pick favorites. Caro does kind of like let him know like there's work stuff going on and that's why she's kind of in a mood. And, she also lets him know that she learned that they're not replacing the cheerleading coach position. So she's on double duty until she retires or burns out. Then they hang out and they dance a little bit and it's cute. After practice, one of his teammates, Devonte Jones, talks to JoJo and he's pretty much the only guy that he ever really like talks to. And he's telling him, "Oh yeah, I got my wife a box for the season." And like just send the dates that, your people need and they can like share the box. Jojo doesn't purchase the family tickets because his family can't go, especially now that he's not on the East Coast anymore. So I'm assuming he's on the West Coast now from context. Who fucking knows? but it's a lot harder for his family to come fly out, which if he has all this money, just fly your fucking family out. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry. Devontae
Well, they
tells
probably
him,
have jobs and lives and
true. His excuse for them not coming was
and
they
we
can't
just
afford it.
and we don't know what month or day it is, so they probably can't put that in for work. I was just Googling when preseason was for basketball just so I had context. So
Uh-huh. I had to Google when the season started, so
I also did that. So
October 22nd is technically
yeah.
when it starts.
And preseason typically starts at the very beginning of October, like for
So,
games and stuff.
so
So I'm sure they have trainings and stuff before that, but
not by much though. So that's where I'm confused about school starting and also
I don't know of any schools that start in October
no.
because even the year-round schools, they start typically in July,
August
like the beginning of July.
time doesn't
Doesn't
exist.
exist. The limit
The limit
doesn't
doesn't
exist.
exist. We're here, baby. Anyways, so yeah, they had only been able to make it to one game last season, so it was just a lot harder.
Very hard to
Devontae
keep
tells
track of dates.
every day. Devontae tells him that he heard that he moved in with his girl. And this conversation just keeps going, and there's no real spot for him to just like pop and say, yo, she's not like actually my girl. Whatever. The social media team comes down and just starts asking what their favorite Taylor Swift song is. So apparently, and I do remember this was a huge like TikTok
Yes.
trend at the time.
For the athletes, yeah.
And they both give their answers. Devontae says it was 22, and JoJo gives like this really long, thought out answer as well. And after the social media lady leaves, Devontae says that was the most I've ever heard you say at once. And JoJo admits he practiced
Yeah, he's not
his
afraid to
favorite.
admit it. Like, dude,
Yeah.
I practiced.
Yeah. So that was cool. So we're
His
back at the
friend's like,
apartment.
solid.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. Respect. JoJo's making pesto for Caro because, again, it was in the agreement. And yeah. So JoJo asks her if she remembers Che, which is Devontae's wife. Is it Che or Shay?
I was calling her Shay, but
Okay. Well, it's Shay.
I
That's
was
fine.
also calling Caro.
It's Caro.
Why? I know, but why would you name a character something that you know is going to be a problem? And I know that you know it's going to be a problem because you spend every few chapters having people get her name wrong and having to correct it. So you know that your audience is going to do that. That's why you're putting that in the book to correct it in people's minds. Why would you name a character something that you is going to be a problem?
For shits and gigs.
This name better be important to this woman, but it wasn't her first book, so it must not be that important.
So Jojo asks if she remembers Shay, which is Devontae's wife. And the reason he's bringing it up is because Devontae has a box for this season. And like she can just text Shay whenever, whenever, just whatever game she wants to go to so that she can sit with her. At school, she gets approached by the defensive coach, and he's like, I was thinking, you're looking to date, right? I have a friend who's moving to town. I think you guys would hit it off. Do you want his Instagram handle? First of all, what? No. And she tells him, you know, thanks for thinking of me, but I'm not really dating much right now. And she asks him about his family and everything. So she gets approached by the coach at the football game because she's a cheerleading coach and they're, cheerleading for football. While she's at this football game, she gets a text from an unknown number saying, I am your father. This is your father. I know who he is.
I am your
You'll
father.
you'll transfer 50,000 into my account by 7 a.m. tomorrow, or I'll tell him who you are. So that's wild. Jojo tells her not to
Who is
delete the
she?
text. I don't know. Jojo tells her not to delete the text messages, and we learn that this isn't her first rodeo. She's super used to dealing with this. Jojo says that he alerted Solomon to be on the lookout for any communication they get from the family,
If she's
and
super
they'll
used to dealing with this, why is this time different?
because Jojo's around and we needed it for the story. Anyways, so he says that he alerted Solomon to be on the lookout for any communication they get from the family and that they'll figure it all out together. She also says, I haven't watched that Taylor Swift video that everybody's talking about, so let's just do it. So she does. And she tells him it was super cute and how she is proud of him. Apparently, everybody loves him in the comments and they all want to marry him. He says, no, thank you, which that's a solid response. Caro asks if there's a reason why he hasn't been going to the preseason get togethers, and Jojo just says, it's not my scene. I play basketball, I do everything in my contract, and I come home. She says, I get that. And I know you don't like socializing, but like you should still go to this family friendly thing in your teammate's backyard. The only reason he will go is like if she goes with him. But she also has to tell Olivia about everything that's been going on. So that's the deal. He'll agree to go to this, but she has to tell Olivia and she has to go with him.
I got really confused whether Olivia was her boss or not.
It's her best friend.
No, I know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I have no idea.
But I thought she was the principal, but then she would talk shit about like the principal and shit, and then she wouldn't just have like Olivia fix shit. Yeah, it was a whole thing. And I understand that the principal only has so much power. You know what I mean? It's not really, that's not how it works, but
I just skipped over Olivia's job. I know they work together. Yeah, so they end up going to Olivia and Mandy's house, and she ends up telling Olivia everything that's been going on. So then, because she did the thing that he asked, she now has to go to this team thing. So they go together. And honestly, having Caro there is so helpful to him. And it's not as hard as he thought it was going to be. Caro is excited because she gets a ton of useful information from everybody. And we learn that the new general manager is very volatile. Caro consistently checks in with him throughout the whole event, which is really nice. And it's very sweet because she understands like he doesn't do this. She catches up with Devontae's wife, Shay, and they have like a little talk. And of course, everyone thinks that they're together. And Caro tries to correct them and says, "We're not together. We're actually just roommates." And Shay really just like raises her eyes and says that, you know what? I'll just stay out of it. you know, one of the other girlfriends or wives people comes over and like because they're talking about like jobs and stuff, and the girl overhears Caro talking about her being a dancing coach and asks if she has met anyone from the dance program yet because they're doing a complete rebrand this year, and of
I
course
thought that was
this
going to go
went nowhere.
somewhere and it went
I
nowhere.
know. And of
So
course
weird.
this sparks more conversation about new management, new general manager, politics, everything, blah blah blah. Yeah, I thought this was going to go somewhere too, and it didn't, so that was disappointing.
Surprise.
So many holes, not one of them filled. And
Apparently some were off scene, but we didn't know.
yeah, so they talk about everything. So Jojo's on the phone with his mom, telling her, like, hey, if you fly out for the game, just make sure you're redeeming miles for points on your credit card. Okay, Jojo, whatever you say. He also tells her to text Caro.
I mean, you really should be using points for everything, like in
I know.
realsies. Like
I do. I lose my points all the time. I Barnes and
like I
Noble points.
was gonna say, I only ever use cards that give me cash back because if I'm gonna spend money, I might as well get money from it.
I don't have credit cards, so yeah. So he also tells his mom to text Caro, and the mom is like, okay, see, this is why I was confused. That's something you say about a wife, not a roommate. But your dad says I can't say stuff like that, but we'll talk later. Okay. As he's in the locker room, this new general manager comes in and is just kind of going off about how ridiculous the elephant fixation is, and they need to have different sponsors and dude, it was there's so many side things that make no fucking sense. And they need to
If
have
they
different
cut out half the side stories and added in
they could have
like
built up more.
built up
Yeah,
the actual story, yeah.
whatever. So all that brief thing. Caro, on the other hand, is getting a ton of text messages, pretty much from her family through unknown numbers, just saying a ton of horrible shit, like calling her a whore. There was like, I was taken aback as to like, what is the context? We need to know. She has a conversation with Olivia about the basketball season, explains how, his teammates seem so surprised that we're just roommates. And she says, you know what? Maybe I should just set him up with someone, or at least I should during next year during the off season. And they just kind of discuss who they would potentially set him up with. And again, what? I don't get it. But when Caro gets home, Jojo apparently had bought a ton of like clothing merch from the store to give to her, and he didn't know what size would fit her. So he bought her pretty much a bunch of everything. And instead of changing in her room, she just ends up changing right in front of him. And this is where the weird sexual tension ends up happening because he sees her in like a lacy bra and he goes, I did the biggest gulp I have ever gulped. And it was the gulp heard around the world. And I was like, what? Why? So fucking dumb. And she apologizes, and now all he can think about is her, and his brain just explodes. He gets text messages from Solomon about different brand deals that he should do, like an asparagus, a lot of things. And he thinks to himself, crap, like I just got a semi from just thinking about my mostly clothed roommate yesterday. And while it's not against the contract, it's against every unwritten rule. But he ends up going to practice and texts her and says that they should go get some froyo later. Why not?
The froyo was because he was going to be in intense training and he was going to be going away. And so this was going to be the last time they were going to really see each other for a while.
Awesome. And Caro goes to the first home game of the season and she's like, fuck, I forgot how loud it is here. But she's having a great time. And by halftime, she's lost her voice. And at halftime, she sees the dance team performing. And Shay asks her if you would ever do that. And again, this went nowhere. And she asks her, and she says, maybe in another life. They end up winning. Like the team ends up winning and they meet up after the game. He accidentally calls her sweetheart. So, oh boy. But she kind of like lets it slide. The next day, he gets another text message from his manager, and turns out that there was a low budget online only sports site reporting that he has a girlfriend, but they have pictures of Caro, and he shouldn't panic because they don't have like anything else. But he's just giving him a heads up. Caro is realizing how different, like, it just, there was, her family is trying the fucking most right now for stupid, I don't know reasons. But, anyways, so, but Caro is realizing also now how different.
Money makes people act weird.
I guess so. And call your own family a whore. Caro is realizing how different the season is having JoJo as a roommate because he's gone for away games. And even when he's home, he still sleeps at the hotel with the team. So he's not really there. So he's been texting more than like any actual in person interaction with her. She is greeted by Olivia at the copy room at school, and Olivia invites her to go wedding dress shop. Why did I say wedding dress shopping? Wedding dress shopping with her and her mom on Saturday. So they do. And they find a really nice dress and they talk more about weddings and the wedding and how Olivia thinks that Manny will just be way preoccupied that she's fully hydrated for the wedding, that what she's wearing doesn't even matter to him. And we learn that JoJo's the same way with Caro, and he's way more aware of her water intake than she is. And when Caro looks up, both Olivia and Olivia's mom are just like looking at her, and they just say, "It's nice for someone. It's nice that someone is looking out for you." Olivia also says that she plans on chucking the bouquet at Caro, so she might end up needing a wedding dress herself. We also learn that Caro has multiple Pinterest boards for weddings for different seasons, and like even for Olivia. And like,
It's a shame she doesn't know what season it actually is.
well, it's basketball, so it's fall, technically. Just saying.
We know that.
That's true. Olivia asks her, who do you imagine marrying? And Caro is just like, a good guy, someone kind and gentle, as opposite as my father as possible, and someone who just wants the same things I want. And Olivia's just staring at her and just thinking, but she does not tell her what she's thinking out loud, of course. We all know what she's thinking. We all know. She should marry JoJo. That's what she's thinking. JoJo finally goes back to the apartment and he hears really loud music and he doesn't even bother announcing it. Like he's done, he's traveling back, he's going to the apartment, blah blah blah. And he hears very loud music and he doesn't even bother announcing himself because there's no way she's going to hear him anyways. And he just comes in and Caro is half naked walking around because she's doing laundry in the house. But she wasn't expecting him to be back so soon. Like she knew he was coming back today, but like not this early in the day. So she was just taking over all the laundry. So he says that, okay, I'm going to just do my laundry later. And he's like, I need to go take a nap. But his brain can't think of that. His brain is just thinking about her and how not clothed she was. And so then he just instead goes to her door, knocks on her door, and asks her about her week.
Knocking on Carol's door.
They talk more about her outing with Olivia and how she's going to end up being one of those. Olivia's going to end up being one of those insufferable newlyweds who forces everyone else to get married. So he needs to be prepared for that. And she asks him if he even wants to get married. And in his brain, he goes, is she proposing? No, bitch. She's not proposing, but okay. But he's silent after this. And so Caro just fills silence by saying, you know, it's something she's been thinking about more recently. You know, she has no desire to get back into the dating scene, but if that's the only way to find her person, maybe she has to suck it up and do it. But like, she doesn't do dating apps. He does not do dating apps either. Not his style, which honestly, I get it. They're terrible. And can you imagine him talking to a fucking stranger? No. All of Olivia's
You
relationship.
did it for a long time.
I did. Yeah, it's terrible. Not me not talking to a stranger, him talking to a stranger. Can
Right.
you
No, I
imagine?
know, no, I know, but I mean,
Oh, I did. It's
you
terrible.
would know, yeah.
Yeah. Out there. But all of Olivia's relationship talk has gotten into Caro's head. You know, for a second, her friend had convinced her that dating Jojo was the solution. But obviously, Olivia has Olivia misread the situation, and Kara was just too much of a hopeless romantic to resist thinking it could be true. But Jojo said, you know, he doesn't even date, he doesn't even sleep around, and he just doesn't have the desire. And but to be honest, she hadn't really thought of him that way until Olivia's comments got stuck in her head. What is it? What is it, girl? Anyways, I mean, like she's had thoughts about him, but just dirty thoughts, not
So she
relationship
hadn't
thoughts.
actually allowed herself to think that it was possible that he returned the feelings until Olivia said something, and then
So she's at the grocery store and she runs into one of her cousins. And she hasn't seen this cousin in person, I know, since the
this
funeral and
also went nowhere.
nowhere. Yep. And this guy wasn't part of all the people who had come after her when her grandmother died, but still not something she wants to have a conversation about. And as soon as they were done having this conversation, she fucking books it out of there, leaves all of her shit. And like she's like, I don't think my dad was tailing me, but like, because he already knows where I live, but I didn't think that he was using him to like find her. So it's still not a thought process. The dad has already showed up to her apartment. But anyway, so she still leaves the parking lot in the opposite direction. And when she gets home, she is like calling out for Jojo and she just hears the shower running. And then she hears him say her name. So she goes, oh, that's weird. Maybe he needs me. Nope. She goes into the bathroom and he's masturbating with her in mind.
He does need her. And
Um,
Crystal said there were no signs.
Now there's a sign that they want to bang. We're so far into this book at this point to bang, not relationship. To bang.
To bang, to bang.
She, by the way, clearly fucking embarrassed. He's also embarrassed. And he's like, I don't know what to do. Like, I should have known better.
She apparently does because she's all like,
hold on. Just the thought process he went through of, I know I shouldn't have masturbated in the shower. Where else are you going to do this? In the living room? So he comes out of the shower and he has a million text messages from Caro, her apologizing at first, and then saying, listen, what if I jerk off? Like, also, like that would make us even. It wouldn't be difficult. I mean, you're objectively sexy, and now that I've seen you naked, I guess. And then she goes, I'm sorry, that was so inappropriate. Now I have to apologize for my apology. Of course, the offer to return the favor made him have mental images, and then he goes to find her in the kitchen. And Caro says, I have a great idea. What if we just get naked and see each other naked? That'll fix everything. Jojo tells her that if he sees her naked, nothing will ever go back to normal. And they dirty talk, and then he tells her to touch herself, so she does, and then he undresses her, and then he starts to touch her, and then they fuck, I guess? I don't know, actually. I don't know. But here's the thing.
no, she just jerks off in front of him.
Right. But like, I think the wording.
I don't know why I said it
on
like that. She just pleasures herself in front of him.
I think the problem I had was it kind of sounded like
they were going to go to the bedroom to go do it.
It's not even that, but I think even afterwards, it sounded like they did, but then they said they did. I got confused with how it
sounded like that they were going to go to the bedroom to go do that. And then it got cut off. And then it was like the next chapter. And I was like, what the fuck? What the actual fuck? And then it took like 3 pages to figure out that somehow they just fell asleep and nothing happened.
Yeah, but then it's weird because it's kind of hinted at after that they did actually see. I don't know what happened.
It was never. It was just they only ever said fooled around, because when they actually did, they made a big deal. Oh, you know what?
When I think fool around, I think they really did bang. But anyways, I get it
because they made a big deal about when they actually did.
It's just weird. Anyways, they fell asleep on his bed, and then so apparently it's just weird. Jojo is thinking that he's really glad that so they fall asleep in his bed. He wakes up, leaves. She's still sleeping. But Jojo's like, oh, I'm so glad that I didn't have a chance to talk to Caro before I left. But I also kind of wish that we had the conversation because he needs to clear his mind. Otherwise, he's going to obsess about this. So whatever. He's doing another meeting with the social media team. And again, more Taylor Swift stuff. And while I love Taylor Swift, I feel like it was really over the top and forced in this book. And I was a little upset. I love Taylor Swift. You all know this. Collectively, I just felt it was like, again, another.
It was just another added, right? Yeah,
and it didn't. It was just over the top. But that's besides the point. After losing the game that they went to and did, Caro also had gone to this game. And Shay tells her, you're kind of being a little weird. And Caro's like, am I? Like she's just anxious being here and she doesn't know why she's being weird and awkward, but whatever. She greets Jojo with a hug and she keeps thinking like, are we going to talk about our sexual encounter the other night? And that's why like in my brain I was like, they had sex. They didn't. But sexual encounter, I'm just saying in my brain I was like, oh, okay. Well, whatever. Or ignore it. But she had not anticipated the third
You know
option.
what would have cleared it up?
A scene.
If it had been on page. Absolutely.
Even them to falling asleep to say that, like explicitly say it,
Right, dude.
So she did not anticipate the third option of hand holding and gentle kisses. And she tells him, you played well tonight. And she asks if what happened the other night was a one-time thing or not. And Jojo says, no, definitely not a one-time thing. And can you sleep in my bed tonight? I want you to sleep next to me. So they actually sleep.
Again.
And I think that's where I was like, one-time thing. Okay, so maybe they didn't. But I'm just saying, like, again, if it was
They saw each
explicitly
other get
stated,
off.
great. We wouldn't know that though. Context, I guess. When they wake up in the morning, he's getting a phone call from his agent. Apparently, things have escalated. And there's quotes now from probably Caro's family. And it's basically painting her as being a terrible person and that she's basically just using Jojo for his money. And now he's her latest victim. And of course, all of this is going to affect his sponsorships and everything. But Jojo tells the agent that, we'll talk about this later because he doesn't want
Again,
Caro
goes
to
nowhere.
take, right. He doesn't want, Caro to take what her family had done to his career to heart because now it's going to affect everything. And of course, this makes Caro so incredibly anxious. And he reminds her that this is on them, like the family, and not actually on her. So Jojo really does tell Caro that she cannot take responsibility for this and that it's her family. He's really trying to support her. Jojo tells her that he talked to a lawyer while she was sleeping, and the lawyer told him all about libel and slander and false light, and that they're not alone, and that they have a team, and that he is on her team. Caro is just quiet, and she's all in her feels. She has not gone into work. She feels really bad about it, and she hates being taken care of. Does that sound like somebody else I know? Maybe. How's your
If
feelings? How are you
if
feeling
if
today?
it did, I think it would be somebody, very responsible, very very, likable, very very cutesy, very demure.
It was funny watching you do that. Anyways, so she feels really bad. She hates being taken care of. She mentions that maybe she should be in therapy, but therapy's expensive and her job. Jojo assures her that there are therapists out there that will work with her budget and schedule. Jojo, you have a lot of money. You could help here. But they can cross that bridge when they get to it. Caro is really struggling through work and is just not
Most
holding up
people don't
well.
take kindly to people just throwing money at them.
He doesn't throw money at anybody. So he won't even pay for someone to come fix an air conditioner. I don't know what to tell you.
That's probably why he has so much money.
Probably. So Caro's really struggling through work and is just not holding up well. Olivia is comforting her at work and telling her that Jojo's been texting Olivia because he worries about her. We also learn there hasn't been any sexy times of any kind since the first night, but there's at least been cuddling. They also haven't had any talks about what it means, but friends with benefits could be more convenient, but that's not on the table right now. Jojo is traveling again for work and tells Caro that she could just sleep in his bed while he's gone. And she's like, I have my own bed. And he goes, mine's better. Fair point. He wishes that he were home because he just wants to be with her. He has a bit of heart to heart with Devante, asking him how him and Shay do it and make it work. Devante just tells him, I don't know what you are or what you aren't, but when you talk about her, you get all googly eyed. She's good for you. It's not easy, but you just have to make it work. When he gets home, he tells Caro that he missed her and she should sleep in his room that night. They kiss and then she rides his face, and then we get like the whole leading up to them fucking.
Maybe it was weird.
He says, ride my face. He says,
Right,
okay.
but okay.
Yep. And then she says, after several orgasms. And then we get the whole like leading up to them fucking with the rolling the condom on and warming him up, and then him entering her. And then we skip to them at the kitchen table eating. So what the fuck?
We don't get to know the secrets. Those are secrets, Crystal. We don't get to know those things. Maybe, you know what? Maybe we're just not ready for those things yet. Maybe we just have to get
Get the
there.
fuck out of here. Jojo tells her that they need to talk. He can't have sex with her again if they don't figure out some stuff first. Caro asks if this was an ultimatum, and he just says, no, it's not. It's a personal boundary. And I'm so glad he is setting boundaries now. He tells her that he realized that she's his best friend, she's his person, platonic or otherwise, and he can't sleep with her and have it be just sex because it'll never be that for him. It'll always just be more. He doesn't expect her to feel the same way, but he can't keep doing this without feelings involved because feelings are already involved, at least for him. She apologizes. She feels bad. She can't be enough for him, and she couldn't even find the words to talk to him about it. And she ends up leaving the family group chat. The family group chat, by the way, is like, what the fuck just happened?
Well,
Why
because
is
we're
she
all
gone?
like, what the fuck just happened? Because how does one thing have to do with the other thing?
Thank you. He explains it to him, to us, the readers, not to anybody else, a little bit. He lied and said that, oh, she
Dearest
just,
gentle reader.
yeah. He lies and says that she doesn't have enough storage for the amount of puppy pictures that this person sends. Realistically, he says he's like, what do they want me to say? Sorry, that family group chats are a trigger for Caro right now because her relatives are all blocked and she's worried they'll try to
But
dox her. Or
I
like
don't,
none of it
it's
made
none of it
sense.
made any sense.
Yeah. So like that's what they're yeah. But he ends up texting Olivia
The
and
square
asking,
peg doesn't fit in the round hole.
yeah, it's wild. So he does text like Olivia to check in on her because he has to leave. And Olivia's like, I will. I never returned my apartment key. So that's great. So, of course, all of this is just like not fun for him. And until now, like he had always thought there's no such thing as like a mutual breakup. But like what him and Carol had wasn't really like a breakup because they weren't really together, but kind of, sort of. Carol, on the other hand, not doing great. She has not showered. Her hair is disgusting. Her socks are terrible. Her attitude is so shitty.
I
And like,
don't understand that. I mean, maybe it's just because I don't wear socks unless
I
I
don't
absolutely
also, I
have
mean,
to.
I don't wear matching socks most of the, sometimes I don't even
But
wear matching socks.
I don't wear
I don't
socks
know why
unless I
that,
absolutely have to.
yeah.
And what do you mean your socks are terrible? Do you just wear socks like just because? Are you just at your house with socks on? Do people wear socks at home?
If my feet are chilly, I will put, oh no, I have slippers, but like sometimes, but not really. I don't know.
Is
I
this one
also
of
don't have,
those
I don't have carpets
normal
all
people
throughout.
things?
No, I
My
don't know.
downstairs doesn't have carpets either. I don't care if I had carpets or not. I would not put on socks.
I just don't want my feet cold. But
I would
but I have
rather
slippers for that.
I would rather stand in snow than put socks on.
That's a sensory thing. So you have
It is.
problems.
But I also don't want to put my feet in shoes without socks. So
I can't do that. So, but yeah. So Caro not doing great. Olivia
I,
ends up stuffing.
I'm just thinking about how long those socks would have to be on her feet.
She's not showering. She hadn't washed her hair in 3 days.
I know. I'm thinking about. They're saying how
I'm
gross her
curious if she
socks.
hasn't changed. It's gross. Anyways, Olivia comes by to kind of just check in on her. And she tells her, Jojo texted me. She goes, interesting. And then she just goes, do I have to go to therapy? Like would I need to use PTO for that? How much does that cost? Like, despite what my family tells the media, I'm not like flush with cash. I heard sometimes you have to shop around for a
Didn't you
therapist.
supposedly research all of this in the beginning? Because that's why you talked about your 3 sessions.
I know. I mean, yeah. Olivia agrees, probably you should go. And for your work schedule, just like you can find a therapist who works night and weekends. So they really talk about this therapy. She discusses, she's like, you know, I can't date JoJo until I go to therapy. And she's like, what makes you think that? She's like, I can't be who he deserves right now. I'm a fucking mess who doesn't have anything to contribute to a relationship, and he deserves a healthy one. And Olivia's like, I think you deserve a space and opportunity to work through everything. So they're really going heavy into the Caro fucking go to therapy. But also like Olivia makes a point and she goes, if you're waiting until you're 100% like before you get into a romantic relationship, you're never going to be in one, which is true. Everybody should be in therapy. Anyways, Caro is just, she wants to be with JoJo. Solid nuggets. It's an Arielism for you. So we get JoJo and he is, at the shower and there's a teammate just in a lump on the floor and he's struggling because he is like all of the responsibilities of the family are falling onto this 19-year-old basketball player. Like he
Fresh out
wants
the
to
gate.
help fresh out the gate. Like his family's never seen this kind of money, and he wants to help his family, and he needs, managing family and money at that age is just so difficult. So Jojo's really just sitting there, like listening to him talk. That's pretty much the whole thing. It's just him sitting there listening to this guy talk. And Devante is like, you know, I went to come check in because he got concerned and he texted Devante to come help him. But then, like, all this kid needed was a listening ear. That was it. I don't know the whole point, but I guess just to continue showing he's a great dude.
So many
Yep.
tangents.
So when Jojo, so done, he's heading back home. He's on a plane. When he lands, he's got 2 missed calls and a voicemail from the lawyer. Turns out, the lawyers are going to be able to protect Caro, and that's all he needed to hear. He's great, and he didn't understand. He just stopped paying attention after that. He gets back to the apartment, and he sees Caro, and she says that she's apologizes because she's on her phone, and she just says, "I love you." Yeah, that's what happened. And then also tells him that, she's going to go to therapy. She can't start immediately, and she's not going to get like cured immediately or ever, apparently, but she's going to therapy. She also bought a fuck ton of plants while he was gone because, she wanted to have a little gesture, and it just went a little overboard at that point, and she ended up with a lot of fucking plants. And he also tells her that he loves her, and that's cute. And then we get an epilogue, and Caro is moving out of the apartment, and the new owner is going to apparently a librarian. So I don't even know if there's another book about this lady because there's no books more in this series.
It did say at the end that book 3 was coming this year.
Oh, well, it's not even listed on Amazon as a book 3. It's listed as
But
this
it's
is book
in the
2 of 2.
it's at the end of this book.
Oh,
So
whatever.
I'm assuming it's about the librarian.
Probably. So yeah, they're moving out because they're moving in together, and then he proposes. End of book.
So that was interesting.
Yep. So who's your favorite character?
The librarian or Devante.
I like Devante and his wife.
I know you didn't really mention the librarian before, but she was a good friend
I don't know.
at school. But
Yeah, Devante and his wife. How about your least favorite character?
this is going to sound really shitty, but I'm going to say the FMC because of her name.
I was just gonna say the FMC just because I didn't like her. I wish the characters were more fleshed out, and I think that's my problem. And I understand it's a 180-page book, but still. Okay, so do. Oh, so there's only 16 ratings on Amazon.
That's
Amazon gives us a 4.2.
when did it come out?
It came out
Just
January.
a few. What? Oh, interesting.
So Amazon gives us a 4. What did I say? 4.2, and Goodreads a 4.37. Where are you sitting?
I gave it 2.5 stars. It could have been somewhere, but it was a bummer for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It sucks that it had so much, again, it had so much potential. If we took out the side story of the family that really
random
didn't
shit,
fucking matter,
yeah.
like some of the random shit, like it didn't matter, and actually focus on building their story together and like fleshing more stuff out, it would have been a lot better. So can't even give a cucumber rating because
I was
there's
gonna
nothing.
say there wasn't anything to cucumber rate this.
Nothing. A 0. 0.5.
Maybe a
No,
1 because it wasn't completely closed door.
I guess I'm giving it a 0.5 then. I'm not giving it
Okay,
even a full
0.5.
1.
0.5. Yes. I'm going to give this a chapstick.
Sounds great. Alrighty. How about survivability?
I would be fine.
I would be
Because I
fine.
would be doing the same thing.
You'd
Living
be
the
a little bit
same
better
old
of a
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be fine. Cool. Sounds great.
Solid. So next week, we don't have to spin a wheel. Do you want to know why? I know you do.
Why, Ariel? Why do we not have to spin one?
You know why.
Why? What is the reason?
You know why. Da, 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 da.
We are so fucking lame.
Yeah. Finally, we got the 4th book and the final book in the Jewelry Box series. Diamond Kisses is here.
Yes, we are finally coming to the conclusion of this book series, which is exciting and sad all at the same time.
Will Peter die?
It's been a goddamn journey.
Will Crystal get her wish and will Ileana die? Will Victor meet the best demise yet?
Who knows?
Tune in next week and find out as we all discuss it. Read along with us. Let us know what you think. Check out Diamond Kisses by Pepper Winters for next week's episode. And make sure to keep reading.
And keep it smutty.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck.